Hello students, I am Mohan Kumari. Welcome back to MK Classes for Biology. In today's class, I am going to deal with the process called gametogenesis. Before going to start with this process, let us recall the steps which are included in the sexual reproduction, or I can say reproduction in case of humans. That includes gametogenesis, gamete transfer, that is nothing but the insemination, and fertilization followed by implantation of the embryo, then gestation and the parturitions. These are the steps involved in the human reproduction. So we are going to study the first step, that is the gametogenesis. Before going to start with this process, you all should be thorough with the male and female reproductive systems of human, which I had explained in the two previous videos. So those who are watching my video, please subscribe my video so that you are going to get the videos which I had uploaded and I'm going to upload. So let us begin with the process called gametogenesis. Gametogenesis in humans explained in spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Spermatogenesis in case of male and oogenesis in case of female. Let us begin with the process now. Before, you all should get ready with the book and pen. Today I am going to tell you how to read or I can say how to study the particular concept so that you can remember. Let us begin with the process. I hope you all are ready. That is, we are going to study gametogenesis. What is gametogenesis? Can be asked for 1 mark. Definition. What is defined gametogenesis, or what is gametogenesis? Yes, it is the process of gamete formation in the gonads, which includes testes in case of male and ovary in case of female. Not only in humans, in all sexually reproducing organisms. So, gametogenesis can be explained in two processes in case of humans, that is spermatogenesis, that is nothing but formation of haploid sperms, or I can say spermatozoa, from the diploid spermatogonial cells. Where do we see these spermatogonial cells? Yes, these are present in the inner lining of the seminiferous tubules, which are also called as germ cells. And oogenesis, it is the formation of haploid egg or ovum from the diploid germ cells, or I can say oogonial cells, which are present in inner lining of the ovary. So spermatogenesis in case of male, you can say oogenesis in case of female. So most of the students doesn't know the difference between the gonads and gametes. See, these gonads are the structures, I can say organs, which consist of cells. Those cells are the germ cells. So in other words, in case of male can be called as spermatogonial cells, and in case of female can be called as the oogonial cells, which are of diploid in nature. That means consist of 2 sets of chromosomes, that is 23 pairs, or I can say 46 chromosomes. So these structures are the gonads. The cells of the gonads, that is germ cells, which undergo meiosis. So in order to complete meiosis, cell division, it has to undergo division twice, that is meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. At the end of meiosis 2, the gametes are going to produced. So the male gametes are called as the sperms and the female gametes are called as the eggs or ova. These are the gametes which are haploid in nature. So once the gametes are formed, they undergo fertilization process, that is fusion of male and female gametes. That process is the fertilization that results in the formation of diploid zygote, that is N plus N, one set of chromosomes from sperm and one set of chromosomes from egg fused to form a 2N, that is diploid set of chromosomes in zygote. So thus a single cell zygote consists of two sets of chromosomes, that is diploid chromosomes. This is how you can differentiate the gonads and gametes. Let us move on to the actual process now. Now you need to concentrate. So the spermatogenesis, which includes 4 steps or the 4 phases, I can say. These phases are multiplication phase, growth phase, maturation or the formation of spermatids, and the fourth is the differentiation phase. Let us study one by one now. Which is the first phase? Yes, that is the multiplication phase. So here in the multiplication phase, the male germ cells, as I told you, or the spermatogonial cells, diploid cells I can say, which are present on the inside wall of the seminiferous tubules. Where do we see these tubules? Inside the lobules. Seminiferous tubules are present in the testicular lobules of the testes. Yes, these which can multiply by mitotic division and increases in number. So you can see here the schematic representation. This is how you have to study a particular process or any concept. You have to make a flow chart, so that the flow chart, if you see, you will get the entire process. So make flow chart while studying. That which will become easy for you to study the process like concepts. So now you can see the diploid spermatogonia which undergo mitosis to produce additional spermatogonial cells. You can say one cell which is undergoing mitosis produces two cells. Thus two cells again thus undergo mitotic cell division, results in the formation of one cell, results in the two more additional cells. This is how you can see additional number of spermatogonial cells are going to form after mitotic cell divisions seen in the spermatogonial cells. So this you can see in the multiplication phase. So all the cells produced after this mitotic cell division consist of 2n set of chromosomes, that is 46 chromosomes per cells. Now thus formed spermatogonial cells, some enter into the growth phase. So in this growth phase, the spermatogonial cells grow and increases in size. You can see here the one spermatogonia which has entered the growth phase and increases in size, and now it is called as the primary spermatocytes. Now you can see each primary spermatocyte is of course diploid and contain 46 chromosomes, since it has not entered the meiotic cell division. So after the growth phase, now these cells are called as primary spermatocytes. Just remember this. Now this primary spermatocytes enter the maturation phase. So during maturation phase, these thus formed primary spermatocytes periodically undergo meiosis, that is meiosis first, then meiosis second. Let us see. First, our primary spermatocyte enters the first meiotic division, leading to the formation of two equal haploid cells. Now it has entered the meiotic cell division. Meiosis first, which is said to be the reductional division. So that you can see the resultant daughter cells consist of haploid set of chromosomes. That means The chromosome numbers, if you can see, compare with the parental cells, that is the primary spermatocyte, it reduces to half in case of the daughter cells formed after meiosis 1, that is the secondary spermatocytes. So now thus formed daughter cells, I can say these daughter cells are called secondary spermatocytes, which consist of only haploid set of chromosomes because it has completed the meiosis 1. Meiosis 1 is the reductional division, so that chromosome numbers in the daughter cells reduces to half when it is compared with the parental cell. Now thus formed secondary spermatocytes, it has to enter into the meiosis 2 to complete its entire meiosis cell division process. So thus formed secondary spermatocytes undergo the second meiotic division to produce 4 equal haploid spermatids. Now meiosis 2 is said to be the equational division. So the number of chromosomes which are present in these secondary spermatocytes, which will retain in the this daughter cells formed after second meiotic division, that is nothing but the spermatids. So the resultant daughter cells thus formed consist of haploid set of chromosomes. This you can see in case of maturation phase. Now thus formed spermatids after completion of the meiosis cell division process, these spermatids are non-functional. It has to undergo transformation to become functional sperm. So that can be explained in this phase. That phase is the differentiation phase. Now in the differentiation phase, thus formed spermatids undergo transformation to become sperms, mature motile sperms, or I can say spermatozoa. This process is called as the spermiogenesis. That is nothing but the formation of functional motile sperms. When after the transformation of spermatids, it is called as the spermiogenesis. There is one more process which is called as spermiation. What is the spermiation? So the sperm which are formed, the head of the sperm get attached to the Sertoli cells, or I can say I have told you in the previous videos that Sertoli cells, it is another such type of cells seen in the inner side lining of the seminiferous tubules, which are also called as the nurse cells. The sperm head attaches to the Sertoli cells for the nourishment. After getting nourishment from the Sertoli cells, the sperms are finally released from the seminiferous tubule by the process called as spermiation. Now you can see the differences between spermiogenesis and spermiation. Spermiogenesis is the formation of functional motile sperms after the transformation of spermatids into sperms. Spermiation is the release of the matured sperms, motile sperms, after getting nourishment by the Sertoli cells from the seminiferous tubules into the accessory ducts of the reproductive system. That process is the spermiation. Don't get confused with these two processes, which are said to be very important. So now you can see the schematic representation. What we had studied in different steps, all those steps put together in one schematic representation, so that you are going to get the whole process here. Now you can see the first one here in the multiplication phase. Here in the multiplication phase, the spermatogonia or spermatogonium, if it is a singular I can use gonium, which is of diploid in nature, enter the mitotic cell division, so it is going to form the additional spermatogonial cells. So these additional spermatogonial cells which enters the growth phase. After the growth phase, it is going to form, increases in size, which will grow in size. Now it is called as primary spermatocyte. So now this primary spermatocyte enter the meiosis 1 and results in the formation of two haploid cells, which are said to be secondary spermatocytes. Though thus formed secondary spermatocytes enter the second meiotic division, and it is going to form a 4 haploid spermatids. Now this entire process, which can be explained in the maturation or the formation of spermatids in this phase. Now thus formed spermatids, which are said to be non-functional, it has to become functional in the differentiation phase. Now the functional motile sperms, after the nourishment, it is going to form and it is released out of the seminiferous tubules by the process called as the spermiation. So this is how you can see the differentiation phase, which is necessary during the formation of functional motile active sperms. So this is the entire process of spermatogenesis. So let us move on to the sectional view of the seminiferous tubule. You can see the diagrammatic sectional view here. Here is the spermatogonial cells, you can see, which undergo mitotic division to form additional spermatogonial cells. Now few of these spermatogonial cells enters the further phases of spermatogenesis, which will grow in size, which forms the primary spermatocytes. This undergo division to form the secondary spermatocytes, and secondary spermatocytes which enter the second meiotic division to form the spermatid. Here you can see the spermatid. Now these spermatids, which are attached with the head of the spermatid, attached with the Sertoli cells. You can see here these are the Sertoli cells, which as indicated with the double lining. So here Sertoli cells, once they get attached with the Sertoli, get nourishment, and now which will become the functional motile active sperms or the spermatozoa. This is how you can see the arrangement of these different cells in the sectional view of the seminiferous tubule. So you can see this is the diagrammatic view of the seminiferous tubule. So let us move on to the hormonal control of spermatogenesis. Hormonal control. Now had given the flow chart here. How to convert this flow chart into the nodes, I'll tell you. So what I had given you, I'm going to explain this. Listen to me thoroughly. So the process of spermatogenesis is initiated at puberty. So due to the secretion of the gonadotropin releasing hormones. So the process of spermatogenesis is initiated at puberty in case of course, spermatogenesis in case of male only, due to the secretion of the gonadotropin releasing hormone, that is nothing but GnRH. Here you can see this is the gonadotropin releasing hormone. This gonadotropin releasing hormone secreted from the hypothalamus, which stimulate the anterior pituitary to secrete other two gonadotropins. So here gonadotropin secreted from the hypothalamus. This stimulate the anterior pituitary to secrete gonadotropins, that is LH, that is luteinizing hormone, and another one is FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. Now this luteinizing hormones, which acts on the Leydig cells, where do we see this Leydig cells? Between the seminiferous tubule, mass of cells, what we can say, Leydig cells, and this Leydig cells and stimulate the synthesis of testosterone from the Leydig cells. So LH act on the Leydig cells and stimulate the synthesis of androgen, that is testosterone, which in turn stimulate spermatogenesis process. In another side, FSH, which act on the Sertoli cells, or I can say nurse cells, and which stimulate the secretion of some factors which helps in the process of spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis is nothing but the transformation of spermatids into spermatozoa or the sperm. That process is the spermiogenesis. If you can see in case of negative feedback, this Sertoli cells which secrete inhibin hormone which suppress the FSH secretion. This is in the negative feedback mechanism. This is how you are going to study by seeing the flow chart. So this is about the hormonal control of spermatogenesis. So I hope you all have understood this process of spermatogenesis. So yes, let us see oogenesis. Oogenesis is the formation of egg or ovum. So oogenesis can be explained in three different phases: multiplication phase, growth phase, and maturation phase. Let us see what is going to happen in this multiplication phase. Same as that of spermatogenesis, here in the multiplication phase of oogenesis, which is initiated during the embryonic developmental stage itself, but spermatogenesis during puberty. So here during the embryonic developmental stage, a couple of million gamete mother cells which are formed within the each fetal ovary, no more oogonia are formed and added after birth. Why we are calling it as gamete mother cells? Because these are the cells in future which enters the meiotic cell division and forms the gametes. So these cells are called as gamete mother cells. Now let us see how we can remember this. Oogonial cells, or the germ cells of the ovary, which are diploid in nature, undergo mitotic cell divisions, and it is going to form additional more number of oogonial cells. Those are also diploid in nature. Now these oogonial cells start division and enter into prophase 1 of the meiotic division. Now thus formed oogonial cells enter the meiosis 1, that too prophase 1 of the meiotic cell division, and they get temporarily arrested at this stage, and these cells are now called primary oocytes. Now oogonial cells, which are of diploid, enter the meiotic cell division, not completes, it just enters and get arrested in the prophase 1 of the meiosis 1. Now these cells are called as the primary oocytes, which are also diploid in nature since it has not completed its meiosis 1 cell division. Now these cells enters the growth phase. Now each primary oocyte then gets surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells, and these structure now called primary follicle. Now you can see this primary oocyte surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells. Now this structure is called as the primary follicle. This is the primary follicle. So a large number of these follicles degenerate during the phase from birth to puberty, which will not develop into gametes. All these cells which will not undergo further development. A large number of these primary follicles degenerates during the phase from birth to puberty. So here afterwards you have to concentrate. We are studying the primary oocyte and the primary follicle. So follicular development and the oocyte development we are studying together. Concentrate. At puberty, only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. The primary follicles get surrounded by more layers of granulosa cells and a new theca. Theca is the external wall layering to form the secondary follicles. Now this is the primary oocyte surrounded by a layer, you can say, granulosa cells. Now this structure is called as what? Primary follicles. Now these follicles get surrounded by more layers of granulosa cells. Now this is called as the secondary follicle. Still it is enclosing the primary oocyte. Now the third phase is the maturation phase occurs. In the first maturation phase, the secondary follicle, just imagine secondary follicle enclosing primary oocyte, soon transform into tertiary follicle. So this tertiary follicle also enclosing the primary oocyte. Now you can see secondary follicle enclosing the primary oocyte transform into tertiary follicle enclosing the primary oocyte in the beginning. Now this primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle grows in size and completes its first meiotic division. It is going to complete its first meiotic division, get arrested. It was arrested in prophase 1 of meiosis 1. Now in this stage it complete its first meiotic division to form a large haploid secondary oocyte and a tiny polar body. So this polar body, which is non-functional and it is formed after first meiotic division. So it is called as the first polar body. So now tertiary follicle at the end of this division enclosing the secondary oocyte. This polar body, tiny smaller cells which undergo degeneration. Now just see tertiary follicle enclosing the secondary oocyte we had seen in the last step. Now this tertiary follicle changes into Graafian follicle. It is a mature follicle, Graafian follicle, which ruptures to release the secondary oocyte from the ovary by the process called ovulation. Now you can see tertiary follicle enclosing the secondary oocyte. Here one thing you have to remember, secondary oocyte which is going to form after the completion of first meiotic division. So this secondary oocyte enters the meiosis 2 and get arrested again in the metaphase 2 of the meiosis 2. One thing this you have to remember here. This secondary oocyte has entered already metaphase 2 of the meiosis 2 and get arrested. In this stage only it is going to release out of the Graafian follicle, so called mature follicle. So this process is called as the ovulation. What is ovulation? It's a release of the secondary oocyte from the ovary by a process called as the ovulation. Now this is how secondary oocyte releases out when the Graafian follicle ruptures from the ovary. Now you can say Still maturation phase not completed. It is going to complete only when sperm enters this secondary oocyte. Yes. Second maturation phase occurs when sperm entry, that is fertilization process, initiates. Then only the meiotic division 2, which was arrested in the metaphase 2, completes, and that results in the formation of a functional ovum or the otid, and again a non-functional smaller body or the cell called as the second polar body. Here the second polar body, which is going to form after the completion of meiosis 2. First polar body is going to form after the completion of meiosis 1. This you need to remember. Now you can see in the schematic representation, secondary oocyte, haploid, of course formed after the completion of meiosis 1, get arrested, entered the meiosis 2 and arrested in the metaphase 2. It complete its meiosis 2 when sperm penetrate the secondary oocyte. That results in the formation of functional egg or ovum and the non-functional second polar body. This polar body again undergo degeneration. So this is how oogenesis completes. So I can say oogenesis is completed when the sperm penetrates the egg or ovum. Here you can see the schematic representation of the oogenesis. So in the fetal body, in the fetal life, you can see the formation of additional oogonial cells after mitotic division seen in the germ cells of the ovary. So that you can see in the fetal life. After that, then it is called as the primary oocyte. That primary oocyte complete its meiotic division prior to ovulation. Now it is called as the secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte along with the first polar body will undergo degeneration. This can be seen during the puberty stage, adult reproductive stage. Now the secondary oocyte already enters the meiosis 2 and get arrested in the metaphase 2. When it is going to complete its meiosis 2, when the sperm penetrates the secondary oocyte, that results in the formation of egg or ovum and the second polar body. These polar body undergo degeneration. This is how oogenesis can be represented schematically. So here ovum, which is haploid, secondary oocyte is haploid, primary oocyte diploid, and oogonial cells which are diploid in nature. This you can remember. So let us see hormonal control of oogenesis. So hormonal control of oogenesis, it is given in the schematic representation, or I can say flow chart. So how to convert this flow chart into explanation or the notes form, or see now how I am going to explain this. GnRH, what it is? Gonadotropin releasing hormone secreted from hypothalamus that stimulates anterior pituitary to secrete two gonadotropins. What are those two gonadotropins? One is LH and another one is FSH. LH is luteinizing hormone, FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. This luteinizing hormone induces the ovulation. This induces the ovulation and stimulate the corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. LH induces ovulation and stimulates corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. Where do we get this corpus luteum? So Graafian follicle, when ruptures and releases the secondary oocyte, soon it transforms into corpus luteum. So now corpus luteum can produce the progesterone by the influence of LH. Now, the FSH acts on ovarian follicle and stimulate the secretion of estrogen. So, ovarian follicle and the different developing follicles. FSH, which is required for the developing follicles to undergo further development. So, these ovarian follicles in turn secrete the estrogen. This is how hormonal control can be seen. Now, this produced progesterone and estrogen maintains the endometrium of the uterus during menstrual cycle. So, endometrium maintenance is very important during this menstrual cycle, which is very much necessary for implantation process. So, this is how hormonal control of oogenesis can be explained by seeing the flow chart. So, now you can see the differences between the spermatogenesis in one side and oogenesis in the another side. Now, you can see spermatogonium and oogonium, which are diploid in nature, that enters the multiplication phase and which forms additional spermatogonial or oogonial cells. Now, these spermatogonial and oogonial cells undergo maturation phase, or I can say growth phase first. Growth phase. So, in the growth phase, which results in the formation of primary spermatocyte in case of male, primary oocyte in case of female. Then it enters the maturation phase. So, if you seen in spermatogenesis, primary spermatocyte after meiosis 1 forms the secondary spermatocytes which are haploid. Here in another side, primary oocyte diploid in nature, after meiosis 1 completion forms the only one secondary oocyte and non-functional first polar body. Now, second meiosis, after the completion of this second meiosis, in spermatogenesis, spermatids are formed. Here in oogenesis, ootid is going to form. Only one ootid is going to form. Now, the spermatids form, undergo differentiation phase. So, here the ootid formed itself is the functional ovum. So, this is how you can differentiate the spermatogenesis and oogenesis schematically. Now, let us move on to the differences between how to write the differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis, which is very important. Let us recall what we had studied in spermatogenesis and oogenesis, and we can make a list and we can differentiate both. So, first we'll see spermatogenesis takes place within the seminiferous tubules of the testis. Oogenesis takes place within the follicles of the ovary. Yes. Growth phase is highly limited in the spermatogenesis. That means it will take a short duration of life, short duration of process. Oogenesis, where the growth phase is quite long. At the end of spermatogenesis, 4 functional sperms are produced from each spermatogonia. At the end of oogenesis, only one functional ovum is produced from each oogonia. We had seen the flow chart. So, polar bodies which are not going to form in spermatogenesis, polar bodies are formed during oogenesis. Spermatids develop to form functional sperms. Ootid itself is the functional egg. So, these are the differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. So, this is about the gametogenesis seen in humans. Thank you. I hope you all have understood this concept clearly. Once again, go through with this, and this is how you're going to study